The restaurant was quiet, filled with the soft sound of glasses touching and calm music playing in the background. She sat across from her husband, trying to stay calm, trying to act normal, but something in his eyes was different tonight. He leaned closer, his voice low, sharp, almost like a warning. "Shut up, or I'll make you." Her hand froze mid-movement. The fork slipped slightly in her fingers. She didn't respond. She had heard that tone before, and it never ended well. Her husband smiled politely, the kind of smile people show in public when they want to hide what they really are. But under the table, his foot pressed against hers, hard. "You always embarrass me," he whispered. "Don't forget who you belong to." She lowered her gaze, her heart beating faster. Around them, people laughed, ate, talked, completely unaware of what was happening at their table. No one ever noticed. No one ever helped. But what she didn't know was that someone was watching. At the table just a few steps behind them, a man sat quietly. Black shirt, calm expression, cold eyes that missed nothing. He wasn't just looking around the restaurant, he was watching her. And he had seen everything. The grip of her husband's hand when he touched her wrist too tightly. The way she flinched, the fear she tried so hard to hide. Something in his expression changed. Not sympathy, something far more dangerous. He slowly leaned back in his chair, eyes still locked on her table. "Interesting," he muttered under his breath. Her husband stood up suddenly. "Don't move. I'll be right back, and when I return you better behave." He walked away. Silence fell. For the first time in minutes, she could breathe, just a little. Then a voice came from behind her. "Excuse me." She turned slightly. The man from the next table was now standing beside her, close enough that she could feel his presence, calm, controlled, dangerous. "I don't usually interfere," he said quietly, "but what I just saw wasn't a normal argument." Her throat tightened. "It's nothing. Please, just forget it." But his eyes didn't move away from her bruised wrist. "I don't think it is nothing," he replied. And then he placed something on the table, a black card, no logo, just a number. "If you ever need a way out," he said softly, "call that." Before she could respond, he turned and walked away, like nothing had happened. Her heart was racing now. She quickly grabbed the card and hid it in her purse just as footsteps returned. Her husband. He sat down again, smiling like nothing had changed. "Good girl," he said. "Now don't cause any more trouble." But this time, something inside her had changed. Because for the first time, someone had seen her. And at the other table, the Mafia Boss wasn't done watching. Her hands were still shaking. The card was hidden deep inside her purse, but she could still feel it, like it was burning against her thoughts. Across the table, her husband returned to his seat, acting calm. Too calm. "Did you miss me?" he asked, with a fake smile. She didn't answer. That silence annoyed him. He leaned closer again, his voice dropping. "I told you, don't embarrass me tonight." But something was different now. She wasn't reacting the same way, because for the first time, she wasn't alone in her mind anymore. Someone had seen it. Someone knew. At the other table, the man in black watched quietly. His fingers tapped once against the glass. His brother leaned in slightly. "You noticed her again." "Yes," he said calmly. "She's not like the others?" A pause. "No," he replied. "She's trapped." His eyes shifted toward the husband, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Back at the couple's table, the husband stood up again. "Finish your drink. We're leaving." She looked up slightly. "It's still early." That was a mistake. His smile faded instantly. "I said, we're leaving." He grabbed her wrist under the table, harder than before. Pain shot through her arm. But this time, she didn't cry, because across the room, the Mafia Boss had stood up, slowly, quietly, and every movement he made changed the temperature of the room. He walked toward them, One step, then another. No one noticed yet, but something was coming, something dangerous. He stopped beside their table. The husband looked up. "Can I help you?" The Mafia boss didn't look at him first. He looked at her wrist, then finally at the husband. "Let go of her hand," he said calmly. The husband laughed slightly. "Excuse me?" The air changed instantly. "I won't repeat myself," the man said. Silence dropped over the table. Even the music felt distant now. The husband slowly released her wrist, confused, irritated, but suddenly unsure. "Who the hell are you?" he asked. The Mafia boss leaned slightly closer. "Someone," he said quietly, "who doesn't like the way you touch things that don't belong to you." And in that moment, her husband realized something. This wasn't a warning. This was a threat. The silence didn't last long. The husband suddenly stood up, trying to regain control of the situation. "Listen, I don't know who you think you are," he said loudly, forcing a smile, "but this is a private matter between husband and wife." A few nearby tables started turning. A tension was building, but the man in black didn't move, not even slightly. His eyes stayed locked on him, cold, steady, unbothered. "Private matter?" he repeated softly. Then he took one step closer. That was enough to make the atmosphere shift completely. Even the waiter slowed down in the background. The husband felt it now. Something was wrong, but his ego was louder than his fear. He reached for her wrist again. "I said let's go," he snapped. Before his hand could even touch her, it stopped mid-air. The Mafia boss had grabbed his wrist. Not hard, not dramatic, just firm enough to make him freeze instantly. The husband's smile disappeared. "What the? Let go of me." The Mafia boss tilted his head slightly. "Interesting," he said quietly. "You only understand control when you're the one holding it." Then he released him. Slowly, deliberately. But now the message was clear. The husband took a step back. "You don't know who you're dealing with." A faint smile appeared on the Mafia boss's face. "That's where you're wrong." He turned slightly, just enough so the entire table could hear him. "I know exactly who you are." A pause. "And I know what you do to her." The woman's breath stopped. Her husband's face changed instantly. For the first time, panic showed, because he understood something now. This wasn't random. This man had been watching, and worse, he knew. The Mafia boss leaned in slightly. "You have two choices," he said calmly. "Walk away tonight and disappear from her life." A pause. "Or stay here and let me show you what consequences feel like." The restaurant had gone completely quiet now. No music felt loud enough to cover the tension. Her husband swallowed hard, and for the first time, he didn't speak. And across the table, she realized something terrifying. Her life had just changed, and there was no going back. The husband stumbled back, his face pale, his hands trembling. For the first time, he realized he was completely powerless. The Mafia boss didn't need to raise his voice. Every movement, every gaze, radiated authority and danger that was impossible to ignore. The woman took a deep breath, clutching her purse. Her legs were shaking, but she felt a strange surge of courage. For the first time in years, she wasn't alone. The Mafia boss turned toward her. "Stay close. Don't look at him. Just move." She nodded. His presence was like a shield, an invisible wall between her and the violence she had endured for years. She followed him as he guided her past the husband, who now froze in place, fear overtaking his rage. Outside, the black SUV waited. Its engine was silent, the darkened windows offering complete anonymity. Two large men stood at the doors, their expressions unreadable but efficient. One opened the passenger side. She slid in quickly, her heart racing. The Mafia boss followed, sliding in beside her. The city lights blurred outside as the vehicle moved into traffic, rain glistening on the streets. Her husband was left standing on the sidewalk, shouting futile threats, but no one could hear him. Inside the car, she felt the weight of the card in her purse. The number on it wasn't just digits, it was freedom. Hours later, she was in a safe house, a secure loft far from the chaos of her past life. The doors were reinforced, cameras were monitored, and every precaution had been taken to ensure her safety. For the first time, she could breathe. The Mafia boss sat across from her, calm, composed, but the intensity in his eyes never wavered. "You're safe now," he said, "but this isn't over, not completely. There are people who want to harm you, who benefited from his control. That's why you'll stay here until I confirm it's clear." She nodded, exhaustion overtaking her. Her body still trembled, but relief began to seep in. For the first time in years, she felt like she had a choice. She wasn't trapped in her husband's world anymore. He reached out a hand, not threatening, not demanding, just a lifeline. She took it instinctively, and in that moment, she realized something profound. She had survived the nightmare, and now, with him, there was a chance to live. Outside, the rain had stopped. The city moved on, oblivious. But inside that safe house, a storm had passed, and for the first time in a long time, she felt hope. The morning light felt different, quieter, softer, like the world itself had finally taken a breath after chaos. She stood near the window of the safe house, holding a cup of tea she barely remembered making. For the first time in years, there was no shouting, no fear, no sudden footsteps behind her, only silence and safety. But peace like this always comes with a cost. Behind her, the door opened. The Mafia boss stepped in. No guards this time, no tension, just him. "You didn't sleep," he said. She didn't turn. Neither did you. A small silence followed. Then she finally spoke. "Is it really over?" He didn't answer immediately. That alone told her everything. Finally, he stepped beside her. "Your husband is gone from your life. Legally, physically, permanently." A pause. "But the people he worked for are not." She swallowed. "So it's not finished?" "No," he said calmly. "But you are no longer alone in it." Later that day, she saw the news. Arrests, financial crimes exposed, hidden accounts frozen, names she had never heard before tied to powerful networks. And in the middle of it all, her husband's name, not as a victim, but as part of something far bigger than she ever knew. Her hands trembled as she put the phone down. Everything she thought she knew about him was a lie. That evening, she found the Mafia boss outside on the terrace. "You did all this," she said quietly. He didn't deny it. "I removed the threat," he replied. "Nothing more." She looked at him for a long moment. "You didn't have to save me." His eyes met hers. "Yes," he said, "I did." A silence stretched between them, heavier than words. Then she stepped closer. "For 3 years," she whispered, "I forgot what it felt like to be safe." His voice softened slightly. "And now?" She looked at him. "Now I'm scared, because I don't want to lose it again." Something changed in his expression. Not power, not control. Something human. "I'm not your cage," he said, "and I'm not your escape." A pause. "I'm just the man who showed you that you had a choice." She understood it then. He didn't rescue her to own her. He rescued her so she could live again. And for the first time, she smiled. Not because she was saved, but because she finally believed she was free.